This is lesson number 4 in the series of lessons, Music Theory for Banjo Players. And today we're going to be talking about timing. Time signatures, duration of notes, rest, that kind of thing. Now, timing is the heart of music. It's the pulse of music. It's very, very important. When you learn to play, you want to play with rock-solid timing. People want to be able to sense that beat. Now, you can introduce syncopation. You can push notes around, add some interest that way. You can actually change the timing during some pieces, a little faster or slower tempo, even right during the piece. But the timing itself wants to have a pulse and a solid feel to it. So today we're going to talk about some different aspects of timing. First thing would be time signatures. You've probably seen time signatures of 4/4, 3/4, 6/8, 2/2. You may have seen a time signature that looked like a little C for common time, or a little C with a slash through it for cut time. What do these time signatures mean? Well, time signature typically has two numbers, the top number and the bottom number. The top number tells you how many beats per measure, and the bottom number tells you what kind of note gets the beat. So for instance, with 4/4 time, top number is 4 beats per measure. Bottom number is also 4, means quarter note gets the beat. So a measure of 4/4 time, you would have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, if I were counting quarter notes. If it were 3/4 time, top number is 3 beats per measure. Bottom number is 4 again, so that stands for quarter note. So 3 beats per measure, quarter note gets a beat. I would count that as, and counting quarter notes, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 beats per measure. 6/8. 6 beat per measure, an eighth note gets the beat. So common time is the same as 4/4. Cut time is the same as 2/2. 2 beats per measure, a half note gets the beat. Now, what about these notes? Here are the symbols. I'll put the symbols up on the screen for the notes. Now, in tablature, they may not look exactly like this, but pretty similar. Actually, I think standard notation is better at showing note names and durations than the tablature. But tablature does a pretty good job. You'll notice the whole note is like a hole. Okay, it's like a 0 laying on its side. Half note has, the head is open and it has a stem going up, no flag on it. The quarter note is similar. It has the body of it filled in. It's solid, not open, and it has a stem. The eighth note is kind of like a quarter note, except it has a little stem on it. And usually when you see eighth notes, typically there are 2 of them together to make a beat, and we typically tie their flags together to group them by the beat. We like to see things in a measure by the beat, whatever time signature we're using. 16th note, there'll be 2 flags on that stem. And of course you've got 32nd note and 64th note, but typically these are the ones we'll see. Quarter note, eighth note, 16th, half note, and whole note. Now for each note, there's a corresponding rest. By corresponding, I mean a rest that gets the same duration as the corresponding note. In other words, a whole rest is a time when we don't play anything for the duration of what a whole note would take. In 4/4 time, that would be 4 beats. A half rest is a little box sitting on top of the center line, on top of the third line. Quarter rest is that little squiggly mark. He gets the same amount of time as a quarter note. And an eighth rest kind of has a little flag on it, like an eighth note. And he gets the duration of an eighth note. 16th rest, 2 little flags on him, or kind of looks like 2 little flags. So there are corresponding rests that go along with the notes. Now, let's talk about duration for these notes. Example 4.5.1, we're talking quarter notes. This is probably about our simplest example, maybe. 4/4 time, 4 beats per measure, quarter note gets the beat. So you see in each measure there are 4 quarter notes. And the count would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's quarter notes. An eighth note happens twice as fast as a quarter note. So we have 2 eighth notes per quarter note. In 4/4 time, you would have 8 eighth notes in a measure. And we still want to hear this beat, 1, 2, 3, 4. But we need some extra sounds in there because we need twice as many notes. So we're going to say and in between there. So eighth notes would be counted 1 and, 2 and, 3 and, 4 and in 4/4 time. 16th notes, again, they happen twice as fast as eighth notes, or 4 times as fast as a quarter note. So there's going to be 4 16th notes per beat or per time, quarter note time in 4/4 time. So again, we want to preserve the count 1, 2, 3, 4. We want to preserve those ands for eighth notes, but we need a couple of other sounds in there. So we introduce E and So a 16th note would be counted 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 16th notes, if all the notes in the measure of 4/4 time were 16th notes. Typically, of course, they're not, but that's the way we would count a 16th note. Now, half notes take twice as long as a quarter note, so we get 2 beats per half note in 4/4 time. So a half note would be, if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first half note gets beats 1 and 2. The second half note gets beats 3 and 4. Whole note, you may have guessed, again, twice as long as a half note, or 4 quarter notes worth, and so a whole note would take up the entire measure in 4/4 time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so those are the common notes that we're going to run into. Oh, okay, maybe you'll also run into triplets. A triplet, say an eighth note triplet, is where you have 3 eighth notes instead of 2 in the time of a quarter note. And at first you might be thinking, well, there aren't 3 eighth notes. There's 2 eighth notes make a quarter note. Well, in the case of triplets, you typically will see them with their flags tied together and a little 3 above there, eighth note triplet. So when they're eighth note triplets, there are 3 notes for a quarter note. People count them in different ways, but the way I like to, keeping the count, 1, 2, 3, 4, but also hearing that sound of 3 notes per quarter note, I say 1 triplet, 2 triplet, like that. So if I were to clap triplets, I'd go 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Okay, so that's the duration of notes. Now, we've got a couple little exercises here. Let's see if we can clap these things out, kind of mixing it up a little bit, all right? Because that's the way music is. It's not going to be all quarter notes or all whole notes. Example 4.5.7, I call it mix number 1. We're mixing it up just a little bit. Not too much, but a little bit. And we've got some quarter notes and some eighth notes in there. Let's look at it first before we clap this thing together. Let's just analyze it some, see where we're going with it. We start out in the first measure with 2 quarter notes. Then we have got a couple eighth notes and then a quarter note. In the second measure, we've got 4 eighth notes and then 2 quarter notes. So how would we count this? Okay, so this is not cheating. Okay, we're analyzing it and we're going to figure out how am I going to clap this when it comes time to do it. We're going to count it 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Notice how the quarter notes take up twice as long as the eighth notes. Okay, I'll count us in 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see if we can clap this together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. In example 4.5.8, mix number 2, we're introducing a triplet, eighth note triplet, and eighth notes and quarter notes. So how would we count this one? It would be 1, 2 triplet, 3, and 4. And then the second measure, 1 triplet, 2, and 3, and 4. All right, let's put those together, those two measures. Again, I'll count us in 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice and slow. I want to give you time to think about the duration of the notes as we clap them. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2 triplet, 3, and 4. 1 triplet, 2, and 3, and 4. All right. In example 4.5.9, mix number 3, we've got some 16th notes there, a couple eighth notes and quarter notes, and we end up with in the second measure with a half note. So think about the durations. How would we count this one? Starting out with those 16th notes, notice two flags tied together, and the 4 of them are tied together, so that groups it by the beat again. We've got 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. All right, let's try clapping that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Okay, that's a little more complicated. Now for playing examples of the banjo roll patterns, you'll notice almost everything there's an eighth note. Okay, and we play a lot of eighth notes on the banjo. The alternating thumb pinch has eighth notes and quarter notes. So let's look at that one. Alternating thumb pinch would be counted 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Quarter notes taking twice as long as eighth notes. Let me count us in and let's just play this on the banjo. Alternating thumb pinch, that's measure number 2 in that figure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Eighth notes and quarter notes. Okay, that's just kind of an introduction to timing and time signatures. In summary, time signature has two numbers. Top number tells you how many beats per measure. Bottom number tells you what kind of a note gets the beat. We have quarter notes, which get 1 beat in 4/4 time. And again, if it's 3/4 time, quarter note still gets 1 beat because the bottom number is 4. That would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's time signatures. And then duration of notes. I kind of think about the quarter note starting with 4/4 time, and then twice as fast as that's an eighth note, 4 times as fast as that is a 16th note, and then twice as long is a half note, 4 times as long as a whole note. All right. That's a little bit about timing.